Hello and welcome to another update video on Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin chart has obviously now seen the death cross. And in this particular video, I want to talk a little bit about that. I don't want to talk about the Elliott wave structures. I don't want to talk about any of the other moving averages. I really just want to talk about the 50 and the 200 week the 200 and the 50-day simple moving averages, because they form the death cross. And we talked about the death cross already a week ago, before it actually formed. We saw it coming, which is no surprise. It's all over social media. But I want to double down on something that I talked about on our other channels already, that are posted in our membership area. And so disregard the Elliott wave count. If you want to follow the Elliott wave structures, we cover them regularly here and also on our other channels, for example, the More Crypto Online channel, and also in our membership area, you get a lot of updates from an Elliott wave point of view. What I can say, in case you're interested about my perspective, I'm short-term bearish, you could say. I'm looking for lower still, but short to medium term, I think a larger bounce is coming. There's even a scenario that could take us still to all-time highs, but it will depend on how we react to local resistances. But again, this video isn't about that. I want to give you more simplified macro perspective. And there are a few things I really want to talk about. First of all, the death cross. What is it? The death cross is when the 50-day simple moving average crosses below the 200. What you see on the chart is obviously here the price action of Bitcoin from the bear market low in 2022. We see the move to the upside, and we see regular deep pullbacks across this or throughout this cycle, which might have topped. I mean, it's possible, right? The cycle might be over. I talked about that. The wave count is full. That does not rule out another extension though. But of course, it could have topped, right? I talked about what the signals are for that. We had several signals. Like the last signal was the break below the 55-week exponential moving average. I said what the signals are. They are accumulating. We have a video about it. Like, I think it was called something like the 3 signals that confirm the bear market or something. It's all there. I don't want to repeat here. It's too much. What I think is important to understand is there is a death cross. We had several deeper pullbacks, but throughout this cycle, the death cross, whenever it triggered, it actually pretty much called the low in that week or the week after. Now, we now have a death cross again. It's obviously a miserable indicator to call a bear market, basically, because it's super late. It's very late. All of our other, let's say the warnings that we had, they came a little earlier. And we've been looking for lower prices short term already for the last few weeks, when we saw the first 5 wave movements to the downside unfold and everything. So it's pretty miserable, actually. Elliott wave told us already in August that a major top could have formed. But obviously we need confirmation for that. So I have not called for a bull market top. I've literally said the wave count is full. Do with that what you want, but that was the first signal, really, that we could get at the top. But it was not a confirmation for a bear market, a very important distinction. It was just saying to us the risk is high. But it's obviously delayed. Now, my stance is that the bearish cross, or let's call it the death cross, is basically just an indicator that shows us a very oversold market. Because we are oversold on various indicators, the RSI, the MACD, weekly RSI, not oversold, but deep in support. And so it's very much oversold. Now, because it's so laggy, Bitcoin often forms lows, and even if it's just a local low, when it actually triggers this signal. So I don't know why people are still bringing this up as a bearish signal. I think most people know it's kind of a meme now, because it's actually a bullish signal. I know it sounds crazy, and it doesn't mean it has to form a low at the moment, but it means usually when it triggers, it means a downtrend is already in full force. People are usually quite bearish when it happens, and so that's why it has its reputation. But it actually happens when the market is so much oversold that sooner or later a larger bounce happens. So what I want to double down on is here. Bearish cross in March, early in April, a low formed, a week later. Yeah. And the market pumped 40% plus. Bearish cross was, hold on, where was it? Here. Exactly in that same week, a low formed, and the market rallied 40% plus. This was August 24. Here as well, a death cross. That was in September 23. A week later, a low formed, and we rallied 40% plus. There was no bearish cross down here. That was the bear market low. But the bearish cross happened at the end of the last bull market, but also very late in January 22, right? The top formed in November 21. But you could say, okay, that was a bear market signal. Well, it kind of was, if you want to say it like that. It was miserable, though. But even here, a week later, a low formed. And this doesn't look significant, but actually, yeah, it dropped first. But then, because the market was already so oversold, it pumped 40% plus, 45% actually. So just a week later, yeah. Here, this was in June 21. It marked the beginning of the rally to all-time highs in 21. Now here, was that the death cross? Let me think. Yeah. in March 2020, this was a week after the major low that formed in March 2020. And I mean, that's when the death cross came. And we rallied, obviously, significantly after March 2020. This was also a death cross. It happened in October 2019. Now you could say, okay, it went down afterwards. But actually, in the same week, when that death cross happened, it pumped. Hold on, I think it was from the low to here. That was not 40%. It was like 30%, but still, in that same week, yeah, from the low. But okay, it formed another low afterwards, but then even then, from this low, I just want to make sure, within a few weeks, usually a significant low forms. There was November 2019, and it pumped 60%. We then also here had was this the death cross? Yeah, also here the death cross in March 2018, and a week later it formed, no, that was actually also where it formed the low. Okay, no, it was a week later. But then it moved up from there, 55%. So what can I say? I mean, it usually, also here, death cross in September 15, you know what happened afterwards. I mean, most of the times, whenever a death cross happened, it actually led to a significant rally afterwards. Maybe it's not exactly a low in this week when the death cross happened. Maybe it's going to form next week. And it could lead even to a new high, or at least a move back into the 100K region. Am I calling for that? Not necessarily, but I think it's very likely. And what happened before as well, I mean, that's why I'm starting to accumulate, right? What happened before as well was, after we had the death cross, we had a retest of that moving average, obviously from below, the 200-day moving average. I mean, it's clearly obvious here. Did that happen before? Let me actually check. I haven't checked that. I wouldn't be surprised, especially after the death cross happened. So yeah, we broke, even here in 2020, we then broke back above that 200-day moving average. And here we also retested it in 2018. So it often means, seems like after every death cross that starts the bear market, which we don't even have confirmation we're in the bear market, but it at least retested that moving average from the below. It became a resistance level. I mean, where are we now with that? That would be a retest of around 110K. Right? So that would be a decent move up. So I just want to put all of this into perspective. Highlight again how oversold we are. The fear and greed index was at 10 yesterday. I think today it's 14, but I think it's lagging a bit. So it might go a little bit down tomorrow. It's obviously in extreme fear. we are oversold on the daily time frame. It's just a perfect sentiment for the market to reverse. Maybe not yet. Sometimes when everybody's like, oh, it's so oversold now, surely we must reverse now. It extends a bit lower. So I'm short term still bearish. Short term, yeah. But I'm watching very closely the microstructures for indications that we're turning around. But I haven't seen any evidence for this yet. So I'll keep you updated. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in additional updates, then also make sure to check out our other channels, for example, the More Crypto Online channel, or follow us on X. Make sure to join the MCO community. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.